Doug, with regards to some of the issues with regards to, say, inflation in Indonesia, we've seen it actually come down and actually controlled for the most part. Do you think that this will actually play as a factor in the upcoming elections? Because it has seemed to be something that's been top of mind, not just for Indonesia, but a lot of other countries across Southeast Asia that have gone through rounds of elections in the last 12 to 15 months. Is this going to be a factor for folks deciding when they go to the polls on February 14?
It's a critical question, simply because Indonesian voters are historically extremely inflation sensitive. They're not particularly job sensitive, but they're very, very inflation sensitive. We've had and low inflation means good social stability, but inflation is going up for the poorest Indonesians. So food price inflation is increasing. It's at least 2 to 3 times higher than the basic inflation rate you have there. It's crept up. It's 2.86% right now. And for food, though, it's around 7%. And that's a real worry. So I would expect that some of the opposition candidates, perhaps Governor Anies and Governor Ganjar, will start to focus on food price inflation since it affects so many tens of millions of voters in the lower categories.
And a lot of this also in maintaining and managing inflation, managing the infrastructure push, the EV push, it will all depend on whether or not there is continuity as well in the economic team, because we know one president alone can't lead a country of 270 million people. He needs a solid supporting cast. What are based on, if you look at the three pairings at the moment, which one do you think might actually have more of a shot at creating economic continuity, making sure that the financial team that's been fairly successful over the last 5 to 10 years actually is in place? Or do you think that the bench, at least, is deep enough in Indonesia in terms of economic managers and officials to actually maintain some of the policies that have shown promise over this last decade?
I think it's very much the latter, JP. The bench is very deep. And I think the interesting thing in this election is that businesses, both foreign businesses and the major Indonesian conglomerates, are not adjusting their investment or commercial behavior because of the election. So in advance of all previous elections over the last 25 years, businesses, both Indonesian and foreign, would tend to pause taking major investment decisions or commercial decisions in the advance of election on the expectation that things could change. The striking thing this year, I think the real story this year, businesses are behaving very differently for the first time in 25 years. The expectation is, regardless of who wins, Indonesia will stay focused on these strong macroeconomic policies. It'll stay focused on reforming the investment climate because it simply pragmatically delivered the goods. We have a higher growth rate because, in part, of rapidly increasing foreign direct investment. Looks like we'll have 2 year-on-year highs for Indonesia in terms of drawing in greater FDI.